nature of how you be an honest operator in the world. But that's not what's going on right now. And yeah, you're exactly correct. My friend, who is an FBI lawyer, told me that if they're out there asking how this got done, and obviously my name is tagged right to it, like my Twitter account is my name. There's no question about who put it out. Then it means that they're probably investigating me for some sort of whatever they consider to be a policy violation. I don't really care because what they're doing is outside the bounds of what the FBI ought to be doing.
Absolutely, and I've talked to a lot of whistleblowers for the FBI over the years. It may not have been on the actual conduct of the FBI, but talking about certain things that are going on, or they tried, they had violations that were related to them, and they tried to resolve it as you would internally, and then were targeted by their own superiors. And what I've also learned over the years is that sometimes the FBI just won't leave you alone if you're a former employee. It's not like you can just walk away. And they've made it hard to get jobs, stay employed, even for spouses of some of these people. They've had a hard time keeping their jobs, getting jobs. Have you seen experiences like that as well?
So I've only applied to a couple of government jobs. I'm an 1811, which is a criminal investigator. That's just a code that works within the federal government. I could theoretically apply and would be qualified for any 1811 job within the government. The one that I made it to the final stages of was with the Veterans Affairs Office of the Inspector General. It would have been a great gig for me, honestly. I care a lot about veterans. I don't want to see the money squandered. So we had a nice long interview. It was a 1-hour interview. It lasted 4 hours. We talked about everything you could think of. And I wasn't selected for the job. I'm sure the FBI had something to do with that. It's also possible that they looked around and saw what I'm up to, and it's kind of a liability if you're in the government to take on people that are willing to speak out about their former agency. It was actually something we discussed in the interview I did. But I think that there's going to be a sword that cuts both ways in my situation. Half this country is so polarized right now and looking at the FBI as an enemy, and I don't think that's the wrong way necessarily to look at it, that there's a really decent chance that someone hires me just in spite of the FBI. I've got an interview coming up that's going to be something along those lines, because people want to do something to support what I'm about and what I'm trying to say, and I intend to just keep being honest. Like, there's nothing I'm saying that's violating national security, and I'm not going to violate any operational security of any investigations. But I am more than willing to talk about failed policy, failed management, and really bad operations that are going on, and this sort of nasty partisan look that we have, which is that we're only attacking one side of the aisle.
Yeah, and speaking of that aisle, with the FBI leadership being what it is, and then you're working with the Biden DOJ and expecting them to hold accountability, which isn't likely over the bureau that has in the last couple of years basically been acting like the Stasi for the Biden regime, raiding the former president and targeting other Trump allies, particularly. And one would say, well, what is our congressman doing? We could put our hope perhaps in the Congress trying to help us and protect us. But it sounds like, and it's not just, I've talked to several other whistleblowers who aren't related to your group. They haven't gotten the help they need from Congress either. And I asked your friend Steve Friend, had he heard from anyone in Congress since the midterms the other day? And this is what he had to say to me. Listen.
I have not heard back from elected officials since the elections happened. That's my great fear, is that they used the information that I brought forward and others brought forward sort of as rocket fuel, for sort of campaign reasons, electoral reasons, fundraising reasons. But then when they're put in a position by the American people to actually make changes that they promise to make, that they'll just be distracted by the next shiny object and on to the next thing.
Now, this is a statement that we received from Representative Jim Jordan's office in response to Steve Friend's remarks. They said, quote, "Our office has been in communication with numerous whistleblowers, both before and after the election, and we will continue to be in touch with the whistleblowers. We hope more whistleblowers will continue to contact our team." Now, I want to ask what your personal experience has been. Have you heard from members of Congress? And I know you're talking to lots of other whistleblowers. Have they, outside of Steve Friend, heard from Congress?
They have not, and not in any meaningful way. Someone reaching out and saying, "Hey, what's the update on your situation?" is not a proactive plan on behalf of an elected official to try to help out people who have small children. One of my buddies has a 1-month-old daughter right now and 3 other children that are still, quite young, under the age of 10. And so when you're a father with 4 children and you've been removed from your job and your paycheck and you had to sell your house, and you're living in a rental that's twice the cost of your old mortgage because the bureau was going to move you, This is not acceptable. This is not what we should be expecting from our elected officials who took the information, as Steve said, used it as rocket fuel. They were banging the drum and showing up on Fox News and doing interviews about the information they got, which I think is very incriminating about the way the FBI operates. And then you posted something the other day that said they've kind of ghosted us. Yes, they have. I get minimal updates. I get minimal contact. The people we're talking to are medium or low-level staffers. I'm not mad at what they're doing per se because they haven't had the chance to do anything. So I'm judiciously going to be patient and allow them to do the right thing. But the idea that you're going to go after a Hunter Biden laptop, which was always going to be there, and it's been there for years. And moreover, let's say they get everything they want out of it and they're able to even impeach the sitting president at the moment. Where are we at? Are we anywhere better? And in the meantime, a dozen of us or so are going to be out of a paycheck for a year or two or however long that takes. So that's not really a palatable situation for us. I mean, as Steve, I'm still considered an FBI employee by the FBI. I think that's absurd because they stopped paying me in June. But 220 something days that I've been offline is what my buddies call and tell me. If you're an FBI employee who's not receiving a paycheck and the FBI requires that you go to them and ask them for permission to get another job, we're really left in kind of this no man's land. And it'd be nice to see our officials step up.